Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, good morning. Greetings and salutations to you wherever you are in the world. And thanks for giving me your time, your energy, and your attention at this time. My name is Reverend Phoenix Coffin Williams. I am the first priest of the Correllian tradition and the chief priest of the Temple of Holistic Knowledge. And if you tuning in right now, you are tuning in for Fridays with Phoenix. This is our second season, and this is our 11th episode in this second season, which is dedicated exclusively to Kemetic spirituality, the divinities of ancient Egypt, the psychology, the life science, the worldview, the pantheon, the religion, all of that. Today, we are going to be highlighting specifically the goddess Sekhmet, but we're also going to centralize the triplicity or the trinity that she is a part of. That includes Hetheru and Bast. And so as you can see on this particular shrine right here, or this altar, I do have all three of them here. I do have some water for Hetheru and Bast as offerings, and I do have some beer here for Lady Sekhmet, and then also, of course, just make some offering of incense. I do pray for the divine and sublime influence of the goddess Sekhmet at this time. I call upon you to descend upon this place and bring your blessings of protection, of force, of motivation, of movement, of triumph. So first thing is first. The goddess Sekhmet is a lion-headed goddess. And right off the bat, you can recognize some relationships to other lion-headed figures that we have been talking about. So earlier on in the season, we talked about the order of creation that started with Atum and then moved forward with the divinities Shu and Tefnut. Tefnut was a lion-headed divinity. Sekhmet is a lion-headed divinity. In the mythologies, however, the emergence of Sekhmet is not the same as the emergence of any of the other members of the Ennead or the company of gods. Sekhmet is an aspect of Hetheru or of Hathor. Hathor changed into or transformed into Sekhmet when it came time to maybe deliver some righteous justice onto humanity for their poor attitudes and their poor behaviors towards the gods. I think when we were talking about Hetheru, I did read the myth that involves Sekhmet as one of them. So you can go back to that episode if you want to and kind of rehash that if you feel like you need to. But during a moment of need, Hetheru, Hathor, as she's known to the Greeks, transformed into Sekhmet, and Sekhmet went on the rampage and went killing and devouring and maiming and really just getting at the people who were causing a problem in the kingdom of Atum or of Ra. She got a little too good at the job that she was sent to do. So good was she at the killing of these folks that even Atum, even the others who were at the company of the gods were like, all right, this is getting out of hand, maybe a little bit too far, let's bring it in. But also none of them wanted to go up against the ferocity of Sekhmet. So they brewed some beer, they got a bunch of beer, they dyed it red, and they scoured it off across the land where they knew that Sekhmet was going to be looking for more folks to get that divine retribution on. And so she comes across the beer, she drinks it up, it's sweet, it's delicious. A lot of myths say that the beer is dyed red from ochre or something like that. Some people say the beer was made out of mugwort and dyed, and so on and so forth. But the more you get into your Kemetic spirituality, the more you get into recognizing what life and culture was like for the ancient Kemets, you might come to recognize what their grains were. Whether or not they had hops and barley and so on and so forth. So we know that they definitely ate like the ancient grain millet, and that is something that like we still have to this day. I know that like millet is in bird feeds, but I know that millet is an ancient grain and it was used in Kemet. But as you get deeper in your own personal journey, if you become interested in this and figure out how to create a beer to make as an offering for Sekhmet, that's something that you might want to look into. Like, was it mugwort? Was it barley? Like, what were the things? Like, what was the process? And that can be a journey that you go on to honor Hetheru and Sekhmet and Bastet. But specifically, creating a beer that's meant to be an offering for Sekhmet is a phenomenal idea. And I think that we would all be greatly served if someone wanted to do that, as an example. But aside from that, she drank the beer. It was sweet. It was delicious. Knocked her out. When she woke up, she was transformed back into Hetheru again. The pleasure, the dance, the song, the sistrum, all those kinds of things that are associated with her and her more glorious aspect. Bastet is said to be a more domesticated version of Sekhmet. The power, the force, the energy, the concern with righteousness and order and all of that is delivered into the home through the principle of Bastet. Bastet is not a part of the original Ennead the way that Aset, Asar, Nebtet, Sutek, Atum, Heru, like not a part of the Ennead, the company of gods, the way that those are. However, she was likely in many, many homes throughout the land, and there are also charms that use images of her or of cats as a form of home protection, as a way of bringing peace and comfort and joy, happiness, all those great things into the home. Additional offerings that are appropriate for Bastet include milk. I would not give Bastet any like cat food, like any kibble or anything like that. But like I have given cooked chicken as an offering, like for like a feast or what have you. So I do things like that, and same with divinities like Ampu, who is a jackal, or like any dog-headed or canine-headed individuals. Like I don't actually give them dog food. I don't set them up for like alpo farts or anything like that. But like I do prepare meaty foods for them: chicken, fish, lamb, steak, stuff like that, to kind of give their feast that razz, that air of I'm taking it seriously with the meal that's provided. When it's just me and them, I share the meal with them. Like I'll have a plate for myself, then I'll have a plate on the altar that's specifically for them. If it's a community, then the divinities are the hosts of the feast, and they get their plate made first, and then the other guests are allowed to go up and make their plates afterwards. The one situation in which I will eat off of or drink off of the altar is in the situation that I have set up right now. In a moment of prayer, in a moment of consultation, in a moment of dedication, it is a good idea to just call down the spirit of your divinity, in this case, Sekhmet, or Bastet, or Hetheru, call them down into, or to place a blessing upon the thing that is on the altar. And in this case, I share it with them. So in the case of Sekhmet's beer, I call down her blessing into the beer. I call down her force. I call down her protection. I call down her motivation. I call down her discipline. I call down her thorough and effectiveness. All of these things that is represented by her. Call it down into the offering that's going to be shared. Maybe you can have a visualization of it coming down from the sky. Maybe you channel the blessing through your own hands as the energy comes through you and your higher self. However you see that happening, but you channel that energetic blessing into the offering, and then you take some for yourself, and then you leave the rest on the altar. Speaking globally, like stepping outside of the Kemetic framework for some moments, I am aware of some situations where spirits and divinities actually require or prefer for you to taste the offering, or for you to have a piece of the offering as a sign of showing that it is good enough for you as the giver. You fully believe it to be good enough for the divinities that you are offering it to. One of the other things is, depending on the nature of the spirit, or the construct, or what have you, like if it's an ancestor or an elevated, like what have you, if they had elevated like a king or something like that, they might have some interesting demands where you have to share the offering first to prove that you have good intentions. So very political. If a spirit maybe suffered a poisoning while they were alive and you're working with them, they probably want you to taste it first and make sure you're not offering them any spirit poisoning. There's a lot of different ways to think about spirit work, the offerings that you leave and the way that you leave them, the manner in which you leave them. Once you have left your offering and it has sat there for a while, it is appropriate for you to leave it on there overnight, one night. It's okay for you to leave it on there for a couple of hours. But ideally, across the board, probably do your best to not allow any offerings to rot on your altar. If offerings are rotting on your altar, contact your spirits in the astral and meditation, get a reading, and see if it is a sign that you need to be spending more time at your altar. If they didn't accept the offering, if it wasn't the right time, if it wasn't the right type, if you didn't prepare it in the appropriate way, depending on your relationship, your spirits might call on you to participate in the making of their offerings in a particular way. They might offer guidance and feedback, and one of the ways that they let you know that it wasn't maybe quite up to snuff is for it to rot very quickly. So it could be a sign. So pay attention to your altar. Avoid letting things rot on your altar on purpose. If you leave something on your altar, it's only been on there from one night, you wake up the next day, it's already rotted. You can take that as a sign that perhaps it was not accepted as is, and you can do some divination to figure out what was missing, what needed to happen, and you can restructure your next offering to make sure that it does what it needs to do. It sustains your relationship with your spirit the way that it's supposed to. It provides them the energy that it needs them to have to be able to participate in your petitions, and so on and so forth. In individual magical practice, when it comes to the divinity Sekhmet, it is absolutely appropriate to draw on that energy for some serious protection and Mars kind of work. Even though Sekhmet is a solar divinity, her behavior is very what we would think of as Mars. Even though she's not like a war goddess, so to speak, her being the other half of, or another aspect of, the love goddess makes the whole kind of spectrum look very, very recognizable. If there's a thin line between love and war, then Hetheru and Sekhmet really represent that thin line. And so when you do have some conflict, some tribulations, or you need some extra energy or some force to help you through, you can utilize your relationship You can utilize your wisdom of the magics, and you can call on the name of Lady Sekhmet to aid you in overcoming these obstacles, or to putting an end to bullying, or to put an end to abuse, to put yourself in a situation, because again, this is righteous wrath, this is justice, this is, I'm asking because really God is the only one that can make the right thing happen here. That is where Lady Sekhmet comes in at. And so you lay your petition at her feet. Maybe you lay a petition at the feet of Lady Hetheru, and you ask her to be present in the form of Sekhmet. And then when you're ready for the work to end, you leave the offering of the red beer, or the beer and the fish, or like what have you, or the steak, or like whatever it is that you're going to give to them, is a way of powering your work and really like getting in there and making it very deep and very meaningful, having the communions that you want to have and you need to be having. When it comes to protecting groups, many of you can get together and have a service that's dedicated to either one or all three of these divinities, depending on the intensity that you're looking for. To protect your home, you can get a picture or a small version of Bast, and you can put it behind your door, you can put it on your door, you can put it under a welcome mat. I have seen some people get very creative and set up like a kitty cat area that has like water and like a scratch pad or whatever. It's just like meant to be a cute shrine to Bast. That's not really the route that I take. But whatever appeals to you, that makes you connect with that energy, that helps you connect with that safety, with that home environment and the pleasure that you want to invite in, absolutely. You can utilize your connection with Bast energy to create floor washes for your home and wash your floors, your walls, your windows, put it in your laundry. If you are going into a situation that needs the more aggressive power of Sekhmet, you can go ahead and charge your laundry soap and do your laundry with Sekhmet charged laundry soap. Or if you wash them in the tub or whatever, you can add some herbs and some prayers and what have you into that water, creating some specially charged clothing or outfits that you wear where you do go into conflict or you do go into battle, and you can think about that as like the full armor that you are wearing. So a shirt, some pants, maybe create a amulet that you wear that's created on the altar at the shrine of Sekhmet. Is an example of how you can work within this relationship. Additionally, overall, when it comes to Kemetic spirituality, the whole point is to help us purify our own personalities for what we've done to ourselves for lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. So we purify our personalities and we choose enlightenment over the worldly things. And we have to remember that what Lady Sekhmet and Lady Hetheru, what they went through with the cleansing of humanity from their poor attitudes, that was within the law of Ma'at. That was something that was ordained to happen. And so remember that we do not take mythology literally, we take it as an allegory. So what does the cleansing or introducing death to humanity do for humanity? What was God trying to teach us about that moment that helps us reorient ourselves toward enlightenment? Sometimes certain things that we do not enjoy, that we thought couldn't happen, they blindside us, take us by surprise, they change us, they alter our lives forever, and that was supposed to happen. Whether or not we like it is irrelevant, and that's kind of the force that is represented by Sekhmet. It's the force that will blow a situation wide open. It's the force that will blow your third eye wide open if you're playing dumb or playing stupid about something, and your spirit team really needs you to know something. If you ask Sekhmet to protect you, that might be a very aggressive protection that comes with painful insight and helping you recognize how to watch your own back moving forward. Just to give an example. Tomorrow is the Kemetic celebration for Sekhmet. So many community members here in Buffalo, New York will be joining me at Rising Goddess for the celebration of Sekhmet knowledge and wisdom. I will talk a lot more about her, her correspondences, her name, and stuff like that. And then there will be a special working that the community will be able to participate in, those who attend. And then, of course, gallery readings and blessings and stuff like that, occur as a part of the celebration as well. So that's going to be tomorrow in Buffalo, New York. Of course, I do live stream those, so you will be able to see it if you are into that sort of thing. But that's it for now. I do pray 10,000 blessings upon your head. I pray for your safety. I pray for your freedom. I pray for your ability to have rich, full, and meaningful lives wherever you are, whoever you are. So long as it's in accordance with the law of Ma'at, I wish you every freedom and every advantage. And until next time, blessed be, okay? Peace.